All right, so today we're going to talk about something called Enkai. And look, this isn't just another tech trend, it's a whole new architecture for our digital world, one that could basically rethink everything, from privacy all the way to participation.
Listen to that. It began not with a click, but with a hum. That's where our story starts, right at the very beginning of the internet. We're not talking about the apps and websites we scroll through every day. No, we're talking about the raw, humming potential of those first ever networks. And right there, in that initial connection, was this incredible promise of a connected world. But, as we're about to find out, it also held the seeds of control.
Okay, let's just pause here for a second, because this gets right to the heart of everything. On one hand, you've got ARPANET, the original internet. And where did it come from? It was born out of Cold War fear. It was a military project, right? Designed for control, for information dominance, for survival. But then you look at Enkai, and it's a complete 180. It's born from hope. Its blueprint isn't control, it's connection. And its goal? It's not just to survive, it's to renew the whole system.
So to really get why we even need a new architecture like this, we have to go back. We have to look at what you could call the internet's original sin. The fact that its very foundation was built for control.
And wow, this timeline really lays it all out, doesn't it? You start in 1969 with military origins, but that core architecture of surveillance, it never went away. It just changed uniforms. When Silicon Valley stepped in during the 90s, they just slapped a commercial label on the exact same model. By the 2000s, well, that's when we became the product. Every click, every search. And by the 2010s, the trap was sprung. The dream of an open web, it became a digital prison we willingly logged into every single day.
And here's the kicker. The best firewall we ever had wasn't some piece of code. It was supposed to be us. Our skepticism, our ability to say no. But that human firewall was just worn down, bit by bit. How? By interfaces designed to keep us hooked. You know the deal. The red notification bubbles, the endless scroll. Convenience became the Trojan horse that lets surveillance right into our lives.
But here's where the story takes a turn. While this whole system of control was becoming this unbreakable fortress, a quiet rebellion was starting. Way, way far from Silicon Valley, a totally new philosophy was starting to emerge from Japan. A blueprint for dignity.
So the first big piece of this new world is something called Jasmy, and its core idea is data dignity. I mean, what a concept, right? It's this pretty radical idea that your personal information belongs to you and only you. It gets locked up in what they call a personal data locker, which is basically your own private, super secure digital vault that no one can get into but you.
Okay, so pillar number 2 is called Junction, and this one is all about liberating power. Literally, computing power. Just think about it for a second. Think about all the processing power just sitting there, doing nothing in our homes. Your gaming PC, your console, your laptop. Junction basically creates this decentralized marketplace where you can rent out that extra power. It takes what was just wasted energy and turns it into this democratic resource for everyone.
So you might be asking, how do these two things fit together? Well, it's pretty simple actually. You take the privacy and ownership from Jasmy, you add the participation and utility from Junction, and what do you get? You get Enkai. It's the whole ecosystem. It's what happens when you have a network that is actually owned and operated by the very people who use it. Pretty cool, huh?
All right, this is where it gets really interesting. This is where all that theory starts to become real. It's the moment people like you and me stop being just passive users and we actually become the infrastructure of this new internet.
And it really all boils down to this one simple but really powerful question. What if all those devices you already own, the ones that are just sitting there, idle, for hours a day, what if they could actually go to work for you? What if they could be part of a new economy, earning you money while you're not even using them?
And just look at this list. We're not talking about giant, faceless corporate data centers here. We're talking about the stuff that's already in our homes, that powerful gaming PC, the PlayStation, your laptop, your home workstation. In the Enkai model, all of that unused power gets connected and it becomes this new kind of global supercomputer, one that's built by and for everyone.
I love this comparison because it just nails the difference. The old web, it was a pyramid. All the power was concentrated right at the very top. But Enkai is a forest. It doesn't grow from the top down. It grows from the edges, inward. It's self-balancing. It's almost ecological, like a real natural system. It's designed to give back, not just to take.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy, we've got the structure, but what does this actually do for you in the real world? This is where we get to see what they call the freedom engine in action. This is the part that turns all those big ideas about rights and dignity into actual automated freedom in your daily life.
Okay, let's walk through a quick example, because this makes it super clear. Imagine you're an Enkai user, and you travel for a business meeting. The system is smart enough to automatically log your flight, your meals, and categorize them as expenses. Then, when you're actually in the meeting, your phone and the other person's phone do this quick, secure, encrypted handshake. It's just a digital proof that you were both there, at that time, without sharing any other private info. So, by the time you get home, a complete, verifiable, and totally private tax ledger is already done. All that paperwork that used to take weeks, it just happens, automatically and invisibly.
And this is such a critical point. This is not about tax evasion or finding loopholes to get out of things. No. This is about mastering the system. It's about using transparent, verifiable data to make being compliant totally effortless, totally honest, and completely automatic. It's not tax evasion, it's tax evolution.
So, what happens when you take that idea, that automated honesty, and you scale it up across millions and millions of people? Well, you don't just get a new network, you get a whole new kind of economy. They call it the mesh economy. So let's break this down. The old economy, think of value flowing top-down, like gravity, just pulling everything towards a central point. But in the mesh economy, it's more like a mycelial network under a forest floor. Value flows horizontally, connecting everything. The main driver isn't cutthroat competition, it's cooperation. And trust? Trust isn't based on how much money you have in the bank. It's based on your reputation, on your proof of contribution to the network. So the outcome isn't just taking. It's reciprocity. It's give and take.
And that right there, that is the huge reversal. Think about it. Surveillance Valley built an entire empire on extracting value from you. The mesh economy is trying to build one on empathy, on cooperation, on reciprocity that's literally coded into the system from the ground up.
And that kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it? After all these decades of the internet being used as a tool for control, for surveillance, for extraction, this new architecture feels like a return to that original promise. It feels like the internet is finally coming home.
So we'll leave you with this thought. For the last half-century, we have all been living inside a network that was designed, from its very core, for control. So the question Enkai is asking, and it's maybe the most important question of our time, is this: what if we could start over? What if we had a blueprint designed from day one for freedom and for human dignity? What kind of world could we build then?